What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's TV review of the Peacock original series, Twisted Metal. This will follow Season 2, Episode 7, which is called Hit and Run, and it's directed by Iain B. MacDonald. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got our first Twisted Metal race, I guess you could say, or Twisted Metal segment. This is after the qualifying event. This, of course, is the first of many. I'm sure each episode is going to have their own Twisted Metal segment. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of death, people that you are excited by. Who knows exactly where it's going to go, because now we have Sweet Tooth. Now we have Mr. Grimm, Axel. We, of course, have Quiet and John. We, of course, have Mayhem. So who's going to die? Who's going to live? Is it going to be chaos? Yes. But who knows at this point? I mean, we could have John Doe and Quiet dead by the end of this segment, but I don't know entirely what's going on. But it basically is a continuation of the after of the qualifying event, the after Make-A-Wish stuff, and it basically is just the first portion of this tournament that Calypso has put together. But it also sees John having to deal with the fact that he made his own wish. He's trying to hide that fact. It's a very telling effect of who John is as an individual, where he made the wish, but he's like not wanting to tell Quiet about it. And you can see that there's some hard dealings with what John is dealing with, because when they go to the first segment race or the competition, John can't drive very well because they're given a minute head start. They're given a device that they can actually track where all the passes are, which is really funny because it's a hand with like this arrow, blinking arrow, whatever, and they can't get to it in time before the other competitors are able to go after them. And you see it when they they finally quote unquote get to the first location, and it's 4 individuals. It's the Holy People, which I haven't talked about yet for some reason, but they're very funny because of course the kid is a baby who's the preacher, who's like the reincarnation of the preacher, which is really funny. You have Sweet Tooth and Stu, of course. You have Raven, main characters of the show, and then you have Quiet and John. And it's on an ice skating rink, which is pretty funny, ice hockey rink, and nobody can get to it. Everybody keeps falling. But of course, I think is Sweet Tooth and of course Stu are able to get to the first one, or maybe it's Raven. I can't remember which, but I really like that. It's very comedic. It's very funny, but it's also John is having a bad day. He lost his sister. He made that wish again behind her back, behind Quiet's back. He's not telling her like he does until the very end. And it's a very thing. It's very unsettling, to be fairly honest. I think it's one of those things where John's character is so in his own mind that it is telling. Even when they switch places, Quiet and John switch places in the vehicle, John still can't get them to the right location. And of course, it leads to the very end where they're the last group to pass through the finish line, get the device only by killing the Holy People, but rescuing the baby, which is really funny. I love how the baby talks, which is really funny. It is really goofy. It's over the top and silly on the simple fact that these Holy People have a baby and one of them breastfeeds. It's very much an apocalyptic humor scenario and very depressing and stuff like that, and disturbing. And it's a good set of characters, but of course they die, and of course the other guy, the Floop, ends up getting knocked out a window, and of course on top of course Mayhem's car, and Mayhem takes Floop's car, which ends up being Quacho, which is from Twisted Metal 4. And I love that whole thing. It's like an homage to Kit and stuff like that. It really is just kind of that much stuff. I mean, it's individuals going after the past thing so that they can like fly through the finish line. And I love how we see like gigantic spikes come out if they don't get the pass, which would kill them, which is really funny. But that's a lot of it. It's just there's really a bunch of characters get the passes that we never really see. We see Axel fight Mayhem first, but we never see Vermin get the pass. We never see Axel get the pass because Axel, I'm sure, is very expensive to put up on screen. Vermin is not really seen this episode, to be fairly honest, which is interesting. I don't think Frostbite's seen at all, hardly in this segment, which is really weird because she's part of the competition. Maybe she dies. Maybe I just miss. I don't know. Anyways, Vermin and Frostbite aren't really seen yet. It's really, I don't know where that's going on with that. It's a lot of that. Like I said, I love the idea of the Kit Quattro car and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to talk about with this episode. Once again, Calypso takes the baby and goes, I'm going to do louse the baby, which I thought was kind of funny. Once again, Calypso, I think, knows John, and I think he's just not saying anything. So it's really, really interesting to see if we get any information on that and information on whether John remembers him. Like I said, John has been known to not remember things. He's lost a lot of his childhood and a lot of his life because of accidents. You know, that's kind of, I'm trying to think of, that's kind of it. Like the last thing is Quiet and of course Mayhem have a discussion about their first time killing someone, which is about, like, you know, it's a very funny reference to like the first time you had sex or the first time you had your period, especially when it comes to a woman and stuff like that. Really just going, you know, and I love the story of how Mayhem's like really kind of bothered by the fact that she killed someone, but, you know, don't laugh, it was Floop, and you know, he deserved to be killed because he was a, you know, misogynistic character. And then Quiet talks about the first time she didn't really kill the guy. He kind of took him too long to die, which is, once again, a very funny sex joke, to be fairly honest, a very referential sex joke. And she just said the tip, which is really funny. That's kind of where it ends. It ends, of course, with John is not being truthful with Mayhem and that he made his own wish, which really upsets me. I'm sure is going to upset Quiet, and there's going to be some stuff in the next episode about that. I do also love that Grimm actually flew into Sweet Tooth's vehicle so that he could get over the finish line, which I thought was a pretty clever gag. And it's really funny how they're inside the warehouse fixing up their vehicles, and they have actually decided to close off the back of the vehicle so that they Mr. Grimm could never do anything like that, or anybody can do that like that. And Sweet Tooth has this like reverse of logic where he's like, you know, instead of like having no vendettas against people, you know, vendettas on the menu and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's like these characters are very one note, to be fairly honest. You know, the stuff with John is the most dimensional stuff, and even then it's a little tropey, to be fairly honest. It's a little I don't know, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it is what it is, but the reveal happens actually a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. And it's really showing that, you know, it takes a toll on people. It really has a thing where it affects people. And, you know, it's kind of where Twisted Metal has become. It's become this like really chaotic mess, but it also has really interesting kind of character tropes and stuff like that. And some of the characters are better used. I love, you know, Axel taking the gun off the car, off of, you know, Evelyn and stuff like that. And yeah, and how, you know, Axel talks about his sister's demise. And yeah, that's what this show is. It's very irreverent. It's very over the top and silly. It has, you know, the best violence that it can have for the budget it has. And yeah, some of the visual effects don't look good in this episode, but you know, it is what it is. So that overall, I enjoyed the episode. It's not as good as the last episode, but I think it's a good companion piece to this current episode 6 and 7. I think it works on just that level, to be fairly honest. And I think, yeah, I think it's still a pretty decent season. I think it's having fun. I think it's enjoyable. I think all the characters are goofy. I think, you know, we'll see where it goes. Who's going to die next? Probably Frostbite or something like that, I'm assuming. They're going to get down to like Sweet Tooth and maybe Mr. Grimm or Axel. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. You know, Frostbite's always going to be like probably the next person to die anyway. So we'll see how that plays out. But with that said, for my final score, I'll give it 8 out of 10. You know, it's a pretty competent, decent episode. So with that said, that is my take on season 2, episode 7 of Twisted Metal, which is called Hit and Run. There you go. So thank you so much. In the comments below, what did you think overall of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? All that good stuff. But yeah, let me know in the comments. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next review. Peace out, guys.